All right, let's jump right in. Welcome, focused learners, to today's explainer. We are tackling something absolutely fascinating today. I mean, we all see artificial intelligence doing these incredible, almost magical things everywhere we look, right? But what happens when we pull back the curtain on all that magic? What's actually under the hood? Well, we find a mathematical engine. And today, we're going to see exactly how these core math concepts, specifically calculus, actually optimize AI models and give them their smarts.
You know, it's incredibly easy these days to just hang out on the surface level. You import a Python library, maybe scikit-learn, TensorFlow, PyTorch, you load up some data, hit run, and boom, your model works. It feels great. But the reality? That plug-and-play approach is only great right up until something breaks. When your model's accuracy mysteriously drops, or it's running painfully slow, or the results are just completely off. What do you do then? Without understanding the math, you're literally just guessing. The math is your ultimate diagnostic tool. It's the only way to figure out why an AI is failing so you can actually regain control and fix it.
So let's get into it. Section 1, Calculus, the optimization engine.
Our source literally calls calculus the undisputed king of all mathematics in AI, which brings us to a really massive question. How does an AI model actually learn from its mistakes? Because think about it, every single machine learning model starts out completely clueless. At the very beginning, it's just spitting out wrong answers. So it needs a mechanism to know exactly how wrong it is. And more importantly, it needs to find the exact right direction to adjust itself so it can improve. Well, that mechanism is the derivative. Stripping away all the dense academic jargon, a derivative really just measures how fast something changes when you slightly tweak the input. In the AI world, this tells us exactly how our model's final output changes if we just adjust one of its internal dials, or parameters, just a tiny bit. Does tweaking this dial make the error go down? The derivative answers that for us. And because an AI might have millions or even billions of parameters, we use what are called partial derivatives, which do this exact same thing, but for many different inputs, all at once. So, how does this actually translate into an optimization process? Well, step 1, we have those tiny parameter changes happening in just a single layer of our AI. But AI models are deep, right? They have lots of layers. So, step 2, we use something from calculus called the chain rule. The chain rule basically explains how a small change in one layer ripples through to the next layer and the next, step by step, all the way through the network. And then step 3, this whole process culminates in something called the gradient. Think of the gradient as a compass. It tells the model the exact direction to move all of its parameters to shrink that overall error. Oh, and for the really incredibly complex adjustments, models will use mathematical extensions of this whole idea called the Jacobian and Hessian matrices. I love how our source summarizes this because it cuts right through the noise. Despite all the fancy terminology, partial derivatives, gradients, matrices, the core idea of calculus and AI is just this: learning by slowly adjusting based on feedback. That simple calculus feedback loop, testing, measuring the error, finding the gradient, and tweaking the dials, that is the true intelligence inside the machine. Moving right along, Section 2, Linear Algebra, shaping the data. Okay, so if calculus is our engine, linear algebra is the chassis holding the fuel. It takes messy, real-world data and formats it into a beautiful, structured hierarchy so our calculus engine can actually process it. First up, we have the scalar. This is just a single value. When you only need one number, like a price or a temperature reading, you use a scalar. Next, we level up to the vector, which is a list of related values. So if you're looking at all the different features of a single image, that's a vector. And finally, the big one, the tensor. This represents data stacked in multiple layers. If you're feeding your AI multiple images at once or complex video files, you are dealing with a tensor. Actually, fun fact, this is exactly why Google's famous AI framework is called TensorFlow. But linear algebra is more than just stacking data into grids. It's about refining it. Concepts like eigenvalues and diagonalization actually help the model focus on the most important directions in the data. They highlight the places where the variation actually matters. And then we have singular value decomposition, which sounds super intimidating, but it's really just a technique to break data apart into the crucial parts and the not so crucial parts. The less important parts are usually just random noise, so we can totally ignore them. This makes sure our calculus engine isn't wasting its time optimizing on useless details. All right, Section 3, Probability and Statistics, Navigating Uncertainty. Think of this as the AI's navigation system. Because here's a massive question we have to answer. What happens when the real world is messy? Because let's face it, data is never, ever perfect. It's full of errors, missing values, random anomalies. Plus, in the real world, answers are almost never a clean yes or no. AI absolutely has to have a way to handle the gray areas. This is where stats come to the rescue. First off, probability teaches models how likely an event is, instead of just dealing in absolutes. Then we get to Bayes' theorem. This one is huge. It allows the model to actually change its mind when new data arrives, rather than just stubbornly sticking to its old assumptions. It's how AI gets smarter over time. On the statistics side, we have descriptive statistics, things like mean and variance, which define what the dataset actually looks like. And then inferential statistics help the AI make decisions by separating the real, actionable patterns from the random background noise. Without this statistical foundation, our calculus engine might optimize perfectly, but in entirely the wrong direction based on bad data. And quickly, complementing our continuous calculus engine, we have discrete mathematics. Now, while calculus is all about smooth, continuous changes, discrete math is all about clear rules, strict logic, and distinct steps. A perfect example from our source is a robot navigating across a room. Discrete math provides the logic system to calculate exactly how many different paths the robot could potentially take, which lets the AI pick the absolute most efficient route to its destination. Bringing it all together, Section 4, Implementation. Code meets math. So, we've talked a lot of theory, but how do we actually use this stuff? Because these mathematical concepts only become truly powerful when we translate them into code. Python is the core language here. It's how we write the instructions. We use object-oriented programming, or OOP, to organize these incredibly complex models into manageable, logical pieces. And remember all those matrices and tensors we talked about in linear algebra? We use a super powerful library called NumPy to handle all that heavy mathematical lifting for us. And when we need to visually map out our data to see the patterns our statistics are finding, we turn to matplotlib. Here is the absolute best part. You don't need to memorize a whiteboard full of formulas to use these tools. You just need to intuitively understand the ideas we've covered today and let the code do the calculating. If you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Math makes AI a tool you can truly control. When you understand the mathematical why behind the code, when you know exactly how the derivative calculates the error, how the gradient guides the learning, and how linear algebra formats the data, that completely upgrades you. You go from being someone who just blindly imports a library and crosses their fingers to someone who actually masters the machine. Which leaves us with one final thought to close out today's explainer. Now that you understand the mathematical engine running under the hood, and exactly how calculus serves as that ultimate optimization engine, how are you going to use it to build the future? The very next time your model throws an error or gets stuck, you're going to know exactly where to look. Thank you so much for joining me today, Focused Learners. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next explainer.